Daddy's back.
Yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host of the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Yard of Streams for another edition of Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off.
Yeah!
And you can't be talking wrestling here in the Yard of Streams unless you got the best of the West you can't forget about with you. Sara Marshall, what's poppin', girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
What's going on? It's been a week. It's been a week.
Since what?
Since the show that we're like low-key talking about today. And that we saw each other for the first time and made magical memories. Like, yeah, like, of course. It was awesome.
Oh, yes. I thought you meant since we were recording. I was like, no, it's been longer than that.
It has been. That's the point. That's why it feels weird. I was saying actually, like, dead ass before we hopped in here, I looked in the mirror and I just started saying the intro because I haven't said it in so long. I've been on shows. Gosh. I know. And I've been on shows since and before that we were there because Underground. But I don't get to do the whole song and dance. I kind of just sit there with my belt and react to Kyle talking about Philly sports and Philly things. But now I get to join all our peeps here again because we are back from WrestleMania. As you can see, I have some new bling. Sara, I think this is probably the best purchase of the year. And you know, we had to upgrade because we're leveling up. I mean, WrestleMania was probably the telltale sign that not only wrestling itself, but the WWE itself is leveling up. So we had to obviously get into the nonsense with it. And I mean, it's just, I'm reading the comments here. It's so nice to see this, like, about time. Finally, I missed you guys. You know, rainy days. You're a peep. David, hello. Oh, you got your right-hand man back here too. David, what's up, Sara Marshall and Pitts? He did die. OJ Simpson did die today.
Let's not.
I was just stating an obvious.
We don't need to bring him up. Move on, please.
I was going to more comments. You don't interrupt.
We didn't need to address this at all.
Okay, WrestleMania 40 was great. Night 2 was better. Night 1 was good overall. Yeah, Vinny, this is something that definitely we don't want to talk about, but we gotta. Vinny, damn right. All right, at least somebody is acknowledging my favorite purchase ever.
You're also over this, so yep, I was right. Don't you forget it, okay?
No Mo Gunther. And we're going to speak about WrestleMania. We're going to talk about all that stuff. You know, it's not your average Thursday show because we're just going to spitball here. All right. We got to get off our chest what and how WrestleMania was. Like, to be honest, it was without a doubt. And I've said this to everyone that's asked me how it went. One, I say it was, you know, heaven, basically. But not only that, it is bigger than the Super Bowl. It's without a doubt bigger than the Super Bowl, and not in the terms of importance or whatever. No, the event itself, it is larger than life. Like, the crazy thing people are asking me was like, you're going for a week, but like, it's only on Sunday, right? Like, why would you go? They don't get that there's a whole week of shit that goes along with it, and there's shows that, you know, build up and lead up to it, and then it culminates not on Sunday at the end of the pay-per-view, but the night after on Monday Night Raw, which is basically the new season premiere of WWE. And it's like, we just got to get it all off our chest, all right? And you have some great banners that you put up here to kind of steer us in that right direction. So, I mean, you want to just like hop right into it, because I feel like we just got to get it off. This is gonna be a long show anyways, and we're just gonna ramble here because this was without a doubt one of the greatest events I've ever been to. And we'll start off with should I give my travel story? or like a synopsis of it.
Sure. I mean,
I'll give a synopsis of it because it does play into it a little bit. Because I got there a day later. I got there a day later. Don't need to go in the whole nuts and bolts about it. I talked about it on the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast. But point is that weather caused my flight to be canceled. Hopped on another one. Then Frontier, fuck Frontier Airlines. They caused me to miss my flight because they just wanted to board early. Didn't care about who was on the plane. Just F it, we're riding. So I got there a day later, and then we did not meet up until Thursday at WWE World. Which I'm gonna let you give your initial thoughts on WWE World because I could go in 1,000 different directions with it. But how insane was it to just be there and be part of like the whole community of wrestling fans?
at WWE World,
Yeah, we'll start with WWE World.
it was just like, I think it was much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And I mean, I've been to Access before, but it was SummerSlam and it was when they were in LA. So it was like, it didn't feel the same because for those years, it's on a side street of Staples Center. So it's more long and like, it's basically one side of the street is what had stuff on it. And so it wasn't as interactive. There was definitely more stages and stuff to like meet wrestlers and whatever, but I
at
didn't
this or
at
Access?
SummerSlam. There was
Oh,
way
there are
more.
more still. Oh yeah, I
Way
could.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
like 10 to 12 stages to meet
Oh
people.
really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so that was different, but yeah, I was like, it was just massive. There was just so much to do, so much to look at. Then the superstore was gigantic. Like
Oh my
we
god.
had to go into it multiple times because you thought you explored everything, but you didn't. You didn't see everything. So yeah, I think it was just cool. I feel like for the most part, it was well organized. It just was the staff that wasn't
Oh
the best.
yeah,
So
yeah, I would agree with that. That it was well organized in how they set things up and space things out, but the staff dealing with it, I do not think understood the assignment. They did not know how to organize all those people. They were really kind of trying to be hardos when it's like it's a wrestling event. Like
yeah.
let's not try to treat this like school or work. And like I mean, the fact that we waited in line to go to the superstore for as long as we did on day 3, I think it was, like that was ridiculous. I think that was the only time I was like, all right, this effing sucks. Like this is just ridiculous. Other than
Yeah.
that, and you had your own little
Yeah. So
ridiculous encounters with the staff. So
I met Cody Rhodes. So Cody was the only VIP that I paid for, of course. I mean, there was others that I would have loved to meet. Like I would have loved to meet Drew or Rhea or Becky, Seth, whatever, but it was $200 a pop. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick like one, and plus like some of the others were during times that we were going to be somewhere else. So it didn't make sense. So I bought the VIP add-on for Cody, which was on Thursday. And that was cool because he did a panel before. So he was like right next door basically at the stage and was just like answering questions and stuff like that. So that was cool. And then I got in line to meet him, which was fine. And then the part that was just miserable was the staff. Like it was a VIP add-on where you got a picture. So it was like a photo op and you're like, okay, cool. And every time I've ever done a VIP in the past, they rush you, but they weren't like on your back or screaming at you. And they allowed you to get more than 2 words out. And that just wasn't the case this time. So like it was a standing photo, which was nice because in the past they've been sitting at tables and like it's such an awkward photo. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
They had a professional take the photo, which was also nice. So you were able to get the 8x10 immediately. They printed them immediately. And then you also got a digital download code. So that was also nice. The problem was that I went up to meet Cody, which was very nice because he said, "Hi, sweetheart," and he just gave me a hug. And then, of course,
That's so nice.
I had to ruin the moment by stepping on his friggin' foot.
You were
And
so mad.
I was
You
so
were
mad at
so upset yourself.
because
I
I'm
felt
like
bad. I felt
because
bad.
because it's like, of course I would. You know what I mean? Like, of course I would. And it's not even like that big of a deal. He literally didn't care. It was like while I was hugging him, I was still on his foot. Like that was what. And so I apologized. I was like, oh, like as I'm hugging him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm stepping on your foot. And he was like, oh, like it's not a big deal, whatever. And so we go and take a photo. And I had made a collage, like I printed an 8x10 of like every time that I had met him, which also included a picture with Brandy and when we were on TV at Smackdown when he was dashing Cody Rhodes, my friend and I had signs that said dashing Cody Rhodes. And that was the night that he pointed to us. I think it was like in 2010. And so I really wanted to show him that. And he had just said at the panel, like he called out this one girl who's known for being like a big Cody fan. And he was saying, you know, like there's not that many really big Cody fans that have been fans of mine for years and years. She's one of them, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, this is the perfect time for me to be like, hey, I exist too, you
Yeah,
know,
there's
like,
more of us.
yeah. And so I wanted to show him that. And so I had the photo. And as I'm holding it, before I even go up to him, the staff is yelling at me and telling me no autographs. You can't ask him to get an autograph. I'm like, I'm not asking him to get an autograph. Like, I'm not. I just want to
I'm
show him
showing him
this.
a picture. Showing him a
And
picture.
so we, you know, I go in, I step on his foot, we hug, we take the picture, and then I'm like trying to show him the photo. I was like, I just wanted to show you this. And before I could even say anything else, the staffer that is supposed to be handing you an autographed photo of Cody, which is also something that came with your VIP, which is this one right here. She's yelling at me to hand that. Then they're yelling at me to give me back my bags and stuff. Then they're yelling at me to move off. Like I could tell that Cody kind of felt bad about it because he didn't really get to say anything back to me either. He was just like, oh, thank you for sticking around or whatever. And I just was immediately whisked off the stage. And so it was just really disappointing because you know, it's not just I love how the curve like why do you never believe me that I met him? Like I literally can show you the picture in 2 seconds, but okay. I was just kind of disappointed because like I had you know, thought about what I wanted to say to him and like what was I going to say because I hadn't met him since 2013. So I was just
Yeah.
really bummed that I couldn't have gone in and been like, "Hey, I've been, you know, a big fan since Legacy,
Yeah,
met
you couldn't say
you."
that.
Yeah, like the first time I
That
met you was in
sucks.
2010. You know, I haven't met you for 10 and a half years. Like I just wanted to express to him
I've
like,
grown up, you know,
yeah,
like I
like
grew up with you. Yeah.
yeah, and like that I always believed that he could be in this position and that I couldn't wait to see like what happened at WrestleMania. I wasn't able to say any of that to him and so that really bummed me out. Um but you
I
know,
don't
I
I don't mean
mean,
to interrupt you, Sarah, but if we do have a donation.
oh,
One
okay.
of
Well,
our
can I just show my photo really quick even though I
you
don't.
show that and then I will introduce.
Here's me with Cody,
Because
y'all.
Kervin needs this.
Yeah,
Kervin needs to
apparently.
see the evidence that it happened.
Can we wait on this comment though? Just for a second. I just want to finish my Cody.
Oh, I'm not gonna say the comment. I'm trying to acknowledge that he did it.
Okay, well, okay.
There
Um
you go. Thank you,
so
Mr. Ernst. I'll give you a
yeah, we'll
shout
get
out
to it in
after.
a second.
We'll just
So the main thing other than like being disappointed too was like obviously Cody was nice. There's nothing I can't say anything bad about him. The fact that he like you know, initiated a hug, I didn't have to do it. The fact that he was so kind to everybody, like had to stand there and, you know, watch him meet a ton of other people before me. And I stuck around afterwards because The Rock was supposed to be showing up, which we'll get to in a second.
Oh, we're gonna
Um,
get to that.
yeah,
That was
I was just disappointed with how the Fanatics people handled this for their first year as like the main people doing this because like I don't know how they were for other VIPs. I think Cody was first, so this might have just been like they were going super hardcore and being really strict because it was their first one. But the fact that you know for VIP we paid nearly 300. It was like $300 to be
for it all.
there, coupled with the GA ticket that you had to buy. I
Mhm.
deserve to have more than 3 seconds
I
with
know.
the person that I paid to see. So that is what really bothered me because I know that if Cody had any say, he would have allowed everybody to have the moment that they wanted with him. And
Yeah.
so it's just like I hope that that's something that they fix in the future because it's just not fair.
Mhm.
You know, that we were so rushed. And like I said, I've met bigger stars, and I'm saying, like, at that time, I met bald Randy Orton. Okay, I met John
Yeah,
Cena in
like
2011, 2012, 2013. Like,
yeah,
they were more legendary than Cody at that time, right? And I never had this experience ever at this. And it's because it's different people. It's fanatics now. So I'm like, you
it's
guys
not
really
WWE
need
people.
to fix this because it's not okay. It's like, and it wasn't just me that was rushed or yelled at. It was so many people.
Oh yeah,
And it was just yeah, it was that's my rant. But shout out to Cody because of course he was more than incredible. So I'm just hoping that at one point I can like express like how grateful I am to him, and like he really is the reason why I got back into watching WWE.
it was
So
actually dead ass.
yeah, and that's like not a lie at all.
No,
Um
we were doing the fantasy football show, and then Cody. I was like, "Oh," or we talked about Cody Rhodes come back, and you're like, "I might
mhm.
start watching again." I loved him, and then boom.
Yeah, and so it's like I just wish that I could say that to him, but you know, maybe at another point in time in the future I'll be able to,
Well,
but
when he comes on the show eventually, and we get to meet him and have the time that we want, we can tell him that basically he's the reason for this show to be on the air. So, I mean,
well, and
like
yeah,
technically, if you want to
he's
speak technicality,
and it's just like when it comes to certain wrestlers, like I love John Cena, and the main, one of the things with John Cena is like I was there when he debuted, and that was when I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy, as his stuff continued, and it's like I've been a lifelong fan of John Cena. It's the same thing with Cody Rhodes, like
yeah.
Legacy and like leading up to Legacy, like it's been what 15 years, 16 years. So it's like they mean a lot to me, especially with my
Mhm.
wrestling fandom. So it's like I want to be able to express these things to them. Like I know it doesn't matter necessarily in the big scheme of things. They're gonna forget about me in an hour, but like it does mean a lot to be able to express and express your thanks to them,
Mhm.
because even though they don't know you exist, it's like they mean a lot to you and they're like so involved in your life. So
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
I get
so it's
that.
like one day maybe I'll be able to say it to Cody, but at least I've got to see him after, like I said, 10 and a half years. So
It's nice. It is. It is nice to see that because he's the reason.
mm.
It's and meaning I will agree that the fanatics like with that stuff, you gotta accommodate for overlapping. You know, like
Well,
I think that's
and
one of the
Cody
things.
was technically late. Like his panel was supposed to be 2:30. He didn't get over there until like 2:45, 2:50. So like if you're trying to, I don't know if that had something to do with the way that they were treating everybody too.
That
Like,
may be.
but again, like you have to get through every single person. So like you can't just rush everybody to try and like fit into a time slot that he was late for. And I'm not blaming him, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
like shit happens, dude. Like yeah,
Yeah.
okay, he was 15 20 minutes later than he was supposed to, but like he's going to stay there until he meets everybody. It wasn't like he was going to decide, "Oh, I'm going to leave these 10 people because I need to go." It's like
Yeah. Exactly.
they're just
You're
not
paid.
they don't care about like what the fans are doing in order to even get to the point of being able to meet Cody, and like
Exactly.
how much they paid and how they've changed their schedule, everything to even get to WrestleMania. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. David, you're so right. From how they handle WWE World to their MLB jersey designs, I could not agree more. It's
Yeah.
just terrible. And I like Fanatics. I like some of their stuff online.
I
I'm
mean,
wearing technically this is a Fanatics thing.
yeah,
This
I
isn't,
mean,
but
I
this
don't hate
is.
like the merge kind of like for merch. Like I don't dislike that
Mhm.
with WWE Shop and Fanatics. I just think that like they were kind of trying to figure out how to handle that type of environment because they are so new to wrestling in general that they didn't really understand that
Yeah,
you're allowed to be a little bit more lenient. Like, I don't know, but I would like to think that maybe they'll get better about it in the future. Maybe enough people will say, like, because I saw a lot of people complaining online about WWE Worlds, like meeting certain
oh
people.
yeah,
So it wasn't just, oh, Cody, this. It was like, no, it seemed to be happening with nearly everybody.
that
So
sucks. That does suck to see.
that's why I think I was just disappointed. Like it kind of ruined my day at that moment because I just had such
Come
high
on.
expectations for how it was going to be to see Cody again and like all the things I wanted to say to him. And then it was like I was ripped of that opportunity. And it wasn't because I did something. You know, it wasn't like I got nervous or I got like scared to say anything. It was because these people made sure I couldn't do that, you know?
Yeah.
So
Oh, it sucks. It sucks. And before we get into WrestleMania, I do want to talk about other things at World that I really, really
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So there was the comment that Mr. Anderson. Sorry, I have to be kind of quiet a little bit. Madre's watching TV. But the Bray Wyatt thing, we didn't get to see the statue be unveiled.
Yeah.
But we did see the entrance of his final run.
And the Firefly Funhouse.
And the Firefly Funhouse, which I took a video of. And the Firefly Funhouse to me was cooler and more sentimental than the archway, because we all get it, Sarah. You know, when you're on that teeter-totter of getting out of it, and like you have those people who aren't wrestling fans, but like, let's do this, yeah. And then the Firefly Funhouse comes in, and I was like, shut your effing mouth right now. I need to see this. Bray Wyatt got me back in that way, and it was so cool. And just the details that went into it, all that. So that was really cool to see. And they had that. They had the bloodline, like head of the table set up. The ECW stage where if you could take a picture of hitting somebody with a trash can.
The Judgment Day layer.
The Judgment Day layer was, that dude wanted to give us a history lesson.
I know. He was like,
he was
do you need to know something about Judgment Day? Because I can tell you. I mean, I thought it was cool though, because at least it was like he knew what he was talking about. So if people were in there and they didn't really know, like he had the info for you.
Exactly.
So in there, it was like kind of set up with how they show Judgment Day's area backstage on Raw. Rhea's Mania outfit her Backlash outfit, right? It was Backlash, right?
It was Mania.
Okay, Mania outfit was back 39. There. Dom's mask when he wore to look like Ray was back there. Like the dartboard and stuff was back there. So that was pretty cool. Also CM Punk's pipe bomb outfit was encased there.
That was so cool. That was awesome.
They had those giant Funko boxes of The Rock and Cody.
I took a picture in one of those.
I didn't.
I
took like no pictures. Like if you didn't, if we didn't know that, like if we weren't telling people that we were there and that we were there together, no one would believe us because we didn't take a single picture together.
We didn't
take a picture of us like with the Mania. We had nothing. Like I just was so focused on like living in the moment, I guess, that I just totally forgot about like, oh wait, I should probably like take a touristy photo.
But I just don't do that. Like, and it's not just like wrestling or anything. Like when I'm somewhere like that, I don't think to take a photo just unless it's just to have, like, for me, not to share. And I'm not gonna go back and photos and be like, oh, remember this photo of me just like selfie? Like I don't. And for us to, you know, we didn't get a photo, which actually I'm bummed out about. Once you told that to me, I was like, damn, I didn't even think about it, because like you're so in the moment. And we, you know, as someone who struggles with, you know, staying present and being in the moment, it was my main focus to take in everything and to, you know, if someone asked me about it, try to, you got a bump there. It was just like one of those things where I just wanted to be there and didn't care about if I or anyone else videoed me. I did have Kyle follow me around day one with the camera, which was pretty cool. I gave him a history lesson, segueing back into the conversation of the belts. They had it wasn't a line, like it was just like the cases of the old belts. And the one thing that stands out to me is how small the women's championship was from like the 80s and early 90s. But that was the one thing that stood out to me, because it was like a child's toy size. And I just did, like, when you, like, this thing is, I mean, as you saw, Sarah, it's massive and can be very much in the way when you're actually trying to watch the product.
Yeah.
So to see that, like, it was just really weird and really cool to see the evolution of championship over the years. Like, that
Mhm.
was really cool, and the panels were awesome. And then we're about to go out, but The Rock's coming, so we want
Yeah.
to hear from The Rock.
Yeah.
Sarah, you can
So
just
the
take it away here.
Yeah, so we
'Cause
weren't really sure why that was happening, but like before Thursday, like Wednesday night, it was changed who was supposed to be at WWE World dramatically. Like there were supposed to be main roster guys and girls there, and then Wednesday night it was like, LOL, just kidding, we're replacing everybody with NXT people basically. And so we were like, what the hell? And then that was when they announced that The Rock was going to be at WWE World. So it was like, okay. Eventually that did change, fortunately. So,
what changed? Yeah.
yeah, so those people were still there, but The Rock was supposed to be there like at 4, and he didn't show up until like 5 minutes till 6. We were standing there until about
Wow.
5:30, and the
Yeah.
crowd was massive. Like everybody was waiting. They kept playing these videos on the screen to like keep us entertained and to hype up Mania. And every time there was a new one that wasn't The Rock, they all just started to boo. And it got to that point where we were like, dude, we've been standing here for an hour and a half when we could have been doing something else. Like we hadn't even eaten.
No,
And so we decided to just go because we're like, all right, he's probably just gonna come out, talk some crap, whatever, for like 20 minutes and then dip anyway. And so that was another thing that was like a hit, I would say, on Fanatics, is like what was going on here. Like, was there a misunderstanding of when he was supposed to be there? Why did The Rock not show up until 2 hours later? It ended up being fine that we missed it, honestly, because he just basically came out there, did a 20-minute promo and then answered some questions and then left. So yeah, that was a little unfortunate, but I mean, we got to see him at Mania, so
yeah,
and Raw. So
that's a whole other topic. I just have some comments before we get into Wale Mania, because that's a whole other topic that we definitely need to clip. And no, this belt, I was given to me. I didn't buy it. It was given to me by the peeps. That was the whole reason. Guys, come on. We know this.
it
And
was
then
$425, guys.
thank you. Okay. Just air my dirty laundry.
Well,
That's
I'm sure he was probably really wondering, and you're just giving him a bunch of lies. Okay.
All right. Kayfabe's real to me, damn it. Okay.
All right. Whatever.
And Jordan, I mean, as you can tell by our conversation, like, yes. I mean, if this wasn't the show after Mania, we'd be talking about something else that happened last night and probably spending a half hour to 40 minutes on that. But we do have to put that to the side a little bit because, like, this is the biggest event, so we got to talk about it. But yes, it's firing on all cylinders. Now, Sarah, I would say this was the most shenanigans-filled event, not only of the weekend, but definitely in my entire life. And the fact that the motley crew of you, me, and Kyle showed up to Wale Mania, and VIP seats, by the way, because obviously, champ. And beforehand, you were like, I don't think we needed it. Kyle's like, dude, why'd you spend VIP? Like, I know this place, like, you just go upstairs and there's a bar. Like, what do you mean? That might have been the thing that saved us, because even though, like, there kind of weren't seats, there were. So, like, it was a better place. We weren't stuck in the crowd, whatnot.
It was too late for my feet though, because I already got blisters at that point. So
that's what happens when you walk in. We were walking all around the streets of Philly. So, yeah, like, this event was basically just a live podcast. I have seen this for, I don't know how many years I've been watching WrestleMania, or wrestling in general, or Twitter's been alive. They've been doing this, and like, I was always fascinated and wanting to go after obviously the Smojo rap. So we get to go, whatever. And it starts out with just Wale's hype man, this cool DJ, I forget his name. You can look it up. And then they bring out the Street Profits. And it basically was just like them doing the live podcast version of their show. And then they were getting to it. Oh my God, Sarah, I don't know if you have many comments about this, but this might have been, outside of the wrestling itself, my favorite thing of the weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the same thing. I mean, it was an experience. It's something that I've seen, obviously. So it was cool to be there. And there were so many wrestlers there because, like,
So
Street
many.
Profits were there. Then Bobby Lashley was there. Cedric Alexander. Shelton Benjamin ended up being, like, the guy of the night. So that was really cool. So, like, the Hurt Business reunited. And it was actually, like Shelton said, the first time that the Hurt Business had ever been in front of a live crowd, which was
Crazy.
insane to think about because you kind of forget, like about the Thunderdome era and how much actually happened during that time that no one got to see in person. And Samantha Irvin was there with Ricochet. She performed a song to Razor Ramon's entrance theme with a flute, and she sang.
It was absolutely electric.
Yeah. And then Trick Williams was there. He exchanged some words with Carmelo Hayes. There were a ton of wrestlers just there to chill.
We were hanging.
Yeah, Big E was there. John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, whatever you want to call
Johnny
him. Taya.
Insert. Taya looked gorgeous.
Yeah, Gail Kim.
Was there. Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace
there
was
a bunch of there was AEW people there. So it was like everybody was there.
Oh my god, it was insane.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's not necessarily my vibe simply just because I don't go out and like drink and do stuff, but like it was cool because obviously if you're a fan of wrestling and you pay attention to WrestleMania specifically, you've probably heard of WrestleMania. So at least I can like check that off and be like, okay, cool. Like I was there.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's where you go. Yes, Vinny. So apparently she couldn't like sing or whatever it was.
They lied, but yeah.
They absolutely lied. So she brings out the flute and Razor Ramon's theme hits. I look at you and I'm like, you have to be a happy camper right now. And it hits and I'm vibing, and then all of a sudden the flute comes out and she's playing along with the song in perfect rhythm, by the way. Like it was astounding. And then she starts singing and oh my god, the crowd became unglued. It was amazing. It was a performance of a lifetime. And oh my god, like bro, it was insane. I mean, I hung out with Big E and I dapped up Angelo Dawkins, told Big E that, being at his Money in the Bank cash-in was one of my favorite wrestling moments, still is to this day. And then also told him that I had a poster of him, the Bootios poster, hanging up on my wall in college because, like, that was awesome. That was one of my favorite things. I was obsessed with Bootios. So yeah, I would hang with them and like it was just cool. Like, and the as someone who does go out, I love that atmosphere. I'm not the biggest like club techno guy, but that vibe was just like they were playing music, you had a drink, there are people up there we were talking to a lot of people, not wrestlers, no, but like just fans and just like whatever. We were talking to some guy for a while. And that's what I liked about it was that it was just like I didn't care that Big E was Big E. I just like he was just a dude. I saw Taya Valkyrie and this person, and we're just hanging at the bar. Like to me, it was like the only event all weekend where you just are you. You're not Taya Valkyrie or whatever her real name is. You're not Big E. You're Nor whatever his name is. It was like really cool to just do that because the rest of the weekend, like I'm gonna be in the crowd, I'm gonna be fangirling you, and I'm going to be that obnoxious screaming wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see that, and it was the only time all weekend that I did get a little litty. Did you get litty titty?
No.
Did you get litty? I got litty
No.
titty. I did get a little bit litty titty. But yeah.
I wanted to say Jay wants us. We can.
Like at the end,
if you want, yeah, we can. I mean, yeah.
I didn't plan on it because I really just want to do WrestleMania today because it's gonna be a long show anyways. I mean, this is like the first day and we're already at 35 minutes. So like
also,
maybe.
I wanted to shout this out. Game Tech Reviews says, finally, the world of wrestling is back to normal with the return of the king and queen of wrestling podcast. God, we missed you guys. This,
Woo!
I'm like, can I favorite this and just like this forever? Thank you. That was so sweet.
Yeah.
It's funny
Game Tech
because
Reviews,
while we were there, I just kept thinking about like, what are we going to talk about? Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about this. And that's why we go to Friday because Thursday, it was ended by WrestleMania. Friday was more of a chill day because there were wrestlers that we wanted to meet, but for the most part, I would say that they were on Thursday, and because of other things that were going on, and because I was in line to meet Cody for like an hour and a half or whatever it was, I didn't get to meet like Gunther. I didn't get to meet Bobby Lashley. I didn't get to meet like anybody. And Pat, of course, is just exploring and doing whatever. So
Yeah.
we went to WWE World again on Friday. Spent a lot of time at the Superstore because it just, I mean, we couldn't, there was just no way that we had enough time to really explore the entire place the day before.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we really
Um,
didn't.
and so that was cool. And then we ended up going to Smackdown at the Wells Fargo Center and of course the Hall of Fame afterwards. So I would say Smackdown was good. We had to move our seats. The Wells Fargo
Yeah, this
decided,
sucked.
yeah,
That did suck, but it worked out in our favor. I will
yeah.
say it worked out in our favor
So
every time.
our seats were in the like center section, that's looking straight at where the Tron would be, but because at Wells Fargo it's small, or they sold so many tickets they made the set smaller. They had the hard cam there and our seats were blocked off. So for SmackDown, NXT, and Raw, we had to go to guest services and get our tickets moved. So for Friday, we just got moved to like the same section, like their same
Literally
seats basically.
lateral. It was just
Yeah.
like if you literally like if you just walk the same row
Yeah.
in the yeah, like a track.
Yeah. So we still
That
had
was
good
fun.
tickets and SmackDown was fine. I mean, I was bummed that I only got to see my boys for like 2 seconds, which was pretty deadly. They had I mean, they're incredible. They're so funny. So their little beginning moment
That was so
um,
funny. The
of the
start of the
Andre the
Irish.
Giant Memorial Battle Royal,
So good.
that was funny, but I was a little bummed that was all that I got to see. But I would say that the Hall of Fame is basically what we were the most excited about, mostly Paul Heyman.
Yeah, there's really nothing like noteworthy to talk about that happened on SmackDown because it was only just matches and then, vignettes to get you hyped for the show itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you were kind of just waiting for the Hall of Fame and Paul Heyman. And, you didn't really care about the wrestling itself until the next day. And the Hall of Fame was, I mean, as David says here, it was a speech of a lifetime. Like,
I wish that everybody who was watching it at home could have seen it in person, because you guys don't understand. If they bleeped the crap out of it, you are missing it. Like we were expecting it to be good. Like we were, first of all, thrown off that they started with Heyman's, simply
makes
because he
sense.
was like the headliner.
Yeah.
But after that, it was like, I liked that he wasn't in character, because that was a concern of mine with Roman being the one to induct him, which I thought he did a great job. I mean, it was short and sweet, but like not really in character. So I liked that. And then I liked that Paul was more real and emotional and honest at the beginning before he kind of went full Paul Heyman, you know?
Yeah. The stuff he said to his kids was really,
Yeah. So
really nice. Really
really
special.
cool. And then the second that he just like kind of went like unhinged is
When
where I
he
was
put
like,
when he put on that hat and
mhm,
that trench coat, and I knew not only that, but as soon as he grabbed the phone and talked about WCW being a crap company or something, I was like,
yeah.
"Okay, here we go. It's showtime."
And I
Enough of the
feel
feels.
like, I know that we're going to say this a lot and it's already been said a lot, but this felt really like the beginning of the new era, of the Paul Levesque era, as Paul Heyman said, because so many things have been happening. I mean, even with the main event with The Rock and whatever, because hey guys, it was a pivot. Shout out to everybody who yelled at me and told me I was wrong, that it wasn't a pivot and this was the plan all along.
Apologize.
I just want to give you the double birds, as
Yeah,
JD McDonough
do it.
does.
Yeah, just apologize
Yeah,
to Sara. Come
apologize to
on.
me because I was right the
What are
entire
you
time.
doing? What are you doing?
So that to me, and how The Rock was able to conduct himself on live television, and then coupled with Paul Heyman dropping F-bombs, telling people to suck his dick, like that
It was
was
so good.
like, okay, yeah, Vince is out the building, because he would not allow that right now. And I feel like it's kind of giving us like the 2024 version of WWE, of course, because they are in the hottest part. I mean, I believe they said Raw this past Monday was the 17th straight sold out show in a
That's
row.
insane.
So
Insane.
we're getting, the new era, but we're also getting like bits and pieces of what we all talked about were our favorite parts of like the Attitude Era, which is the cursing, which is the more edgy parts. And that's where
More real.
we're in a new time. And I feel like Paul kind of like ushered that in a bit. And so his entire speech was incredible, but I also love, and I even like looking back at them now, at the videos of all of the wrestlers behind them reacting to the things that he had said.
Everyone looking at Triple H was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was
So
so good.
that was really cool. And I mean, the rest were great too. I think we just missed the last one because we had to go, but for a
Yeah.
ride. But I do feel like as great as it was for us to be there for Paul Heyman's speech, I do sometimes wish that they would just stop allowing fans be in attendance for the Hall of Fame because they just cannot conduct themselves in a mature manner. So like they're chanting ridiculous things or like not reacting accordingly.
Yeah,
And so it's
the
like
one,
that's
yeah.
embarrassing to be a part of,
No, it is. And the what chants during Bull Nakano's speech, I felt
Yeah.
bad because I actually like it's tough speaking English when you're any sort of foreigner. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you're from. English is a very hard language. So for her to get up there and give a speech like that and have it be the way it went, and then I think there was someone else too that kind of rambled and whatnot. But like it was just the crowd took them out of it. Where you have I would say in a way we're purists, like us who actually want to listen to your speech. Like I have no idea who Bull Nakano was until this, so I want to
Yeah.
hear like what wrestling in that era meant to her, even if it wasn't the hottest thing to be a women's wrestler. I wanted to hear that stuff and other people, but who's no? Oh, it was the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. That's the one where I'm gonna have to kind of agree with the fans here. Is that he rambled and it got to the point where like you had to start chanting to kind of give him a cue to get off stage. That's my only like the Bull Nakano, like respect. And I was listening to Thunderbolt pretty intently until he turned it into a sermon. And once he did that, I even had a thought of joining in on the what chance because I was like, this dude, get off the stage. I want to see Maivia. I want to see that. We didn't even get to see her because we were stuck. So
I also would say, but going back to SmackDown because I referenced JD McDonough, in case you guys don't know, because I'm sure you didn't see it. JD McDonough is a king, okay? We already knew this. But he was on WWE Speed before SmackDown. He was against Axiom and he beat Axiom. Oh yeah, Axiom in less than 3 minutes. And the thing that I loved was one that I was like the only person in the entire arena cheering for him because I got you, boo. And then as he was walking up the ramp to leave, there was this grown man like trying to get a high five or something. And of course, hello, JD's a heel. He's not going to touch you. Like, it's not going to happen. And then because JD was like, no, the guy obviously said something like talked some crap or whatever. And JD turned around and flipped him the double birds. And I was like, king status accomplished because
you did geek out. You geeked out at this moment.
Yeah.
This was so funny.
I loved it because I'm like, people just act so ridiculously in person. Like, I just don't get it. And it's also like, you're a 30-something-year-old man crying about the fact that JD McDonough wouldn't high five you and you think it's appropriate to talk shit. Like, I just think it's so weird. And so it's like, I love when they'll react and like do something like that because it's like, yeah, this guy is embarrassing. It's like honestly embarrassing. But do you want to hit some comments before we go to
NXT? I'll just give you this comic because anytime.
What was I right about?
Oh, the pivot. He's talking about the pivot.
Yeah. I mean, they're literally doing an entire documentary about how the pivot happened. So shout out to me. So,
because like, all right, like at first when you say like I was right, in my head I'm like, yeah, no shit, like I agree with you, but. And I'm like, all right, there's no way. No, people were actually coming at you. I'm like, what guys, are we really serious?
I can't
Like,
even tell you the amount of
this was
comments
common
that I
sense.
was getting that were so rude on YouTube and on Twitter, telling me how I was wrong, that the pivot wasn't ever a thing, that this was the plan all along. No, it wasn't. And so I'm just like, the validation that I have gotten this past week by seeing The
Good
Rock
for you.
confirm in interviews that there
Good
was a
for you.
pivot, Cody confirm in interviews that there was a pivot, and now we got a whole full-blown documentary about how it was a pivot, how it came about, and how they decided to go in this direction. I was sitting there and being like, applaud me. You know, like, I know
Yeah,
I'm not the only
it's
one who said it, but it's
no,
just the
yeah.
fact that I was getting ripped online for even suggesting that there was a pivot, only to then get confirmed like a month or 6 weeks later, whatever it is. I'm just like, yeah. So, thank you, Vinny.
Thank you, Vinny. Yeah, David, I bet you were pissed at that because it sucked. And then Game Tech, formerly Urban Nation. This is Urban Nation. It changed its name, tag. Paul Heyman is the GOAT, manager surpassing the late great. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman is on the Mount Rushmore of most influential people in wrestling history. If you argue with that, I can't speak to you.
Well, and I feel like I know that he's always been in a managerial role, but I always talk about and stress the importance of being a good talker. If you're a wrestler, a manager, whatever, you're a talent and you're on TV. Dude has no in-ring ability. Okay? He's never been a wrestler, never really tried to be a wrestler, and yet
One match.
he can flap those gums like nobody's business. So it's like, it just shows you the longevity and how, if you can actually like make it into an art, which I would say that Paul Heyman has done, you can be around the business forever. And it just shows like how important it is to have that skill, because your in-ring abilities will only last you so long. There's a reason why Paul Heyman is still around 20, 30 years later, you know, and he's going to still be around for another 20, 30 years. So,
Yeah.
So
He is wrestling, for sure. All right. Yeah, we have our next event, which I'll let you play it. I'll let you just.
Oh, yeah. So we went to
Stand and Deliver.
We went to Stand and Deliver on Saturday, and that was when we had the unexpected upgrade of seats, because as I said, we had to get our seats upgraded because they were blocked off by the hard cam. So this is when we got our seats upgraded to club level, guys. So
I was dying at this because you were at the gate. You're like, we better get good seats. Like, you got to be pushing them and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. And then I get it, and you saw it, and you were like, "What?" And I'm like, "Trust me, trust the champ."
well, it's just because sometimes like
Well, we
what
have to go to
looks like they
elevator.
might be good, they're not actually good. So yeah, these were further over than where our original seats were, but it ended up being fine. Basically,
It was a
obviously, it's the
perfect
club
view.
level, so we had like legit padded seats that didn't even go up when you stood up. There was their own personal bathroom, their own bar, like their own food, whatever. So
It was awesome.
it was like the perfect setting for NXT, because we enjoyed ourselves. Obviously, there are a few matches that I think we were more so looking forward to than any of them. And so the atmosphere was okay to not be in the midst of the crowd. But I mean, the show was
It was top
phenomenal.
notch. It was the
Yeah.
best way to start WrestleMania Saturday because you started off hot with the tag match with
Mm-hmm.
Braun and Corbin, Axiom and Nathan Frazier, and
God, I keep hitting the microphone.
yeah, you're
I'm
like all over
sorry.
the place.
Sorry.
So that match itself, like that was off my seat. You know, I was going crazy. Some of the spots in that. Shocked that Braun won. I'm shocked that they won, but
Then they
after what happened, yeah,
and then
afterwards,
they lost. You know what I think it is? I was kind of shocked about them losing just like 2-3 days later, but I feel like they just wanted them to have like one more like big moment together. And Stand and Deliver is kind of like NXT WrestleMania. So I'm like, maybe that's why, because it was a little bit shocking to me. Like, okay, cool, they won. So you're like, all right, they're trying to keep this together, because obviously keeping them together benefits Baron Corbin the most. It doesn't really do anything for Braun. But yeah, I mean, it was a good match too. So it wasn't even like, oh, they're just trying to keep it on them, blah, 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 blah. It was like, no, like this is still a good match. So yeah, that was a good one. Obviously I really liked Ilya versus the
Dun, dun,
family.
dun. The best match, though, we have to talk about this match.
Mm,
Obafemi, Dijak, Josh Briggs.
yeah, so good.
Low key, one of the best matches out of the entire weekend.
Mm,
It was
yeah.
the spots, the hard hitting, the shit that they were doing. Oh my god.
I think it was part of it too was because I think it was one of the more underrated, under discussed matches that was on the card. I think a lot of people were talking about Lyra versus Roxanne or Trick Mello or, the family versus Ilya. And so I think that one kind of went a little bit under the radar. And so I think that might be even add to why it was so good, because you weren't really expecting it, or people didn't hype it up to be as good as it was, but it was great.
That's where he threw he threw Dijak. Josh Briggs threw Dijak, chokeslammed him, and he did the
Mhm.
flip onto Obafemi on the chair. And then later in the match, when they had the triple stacked men, it was like a game of Jenga when they fell. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, I'm shocked that Obafemi won, but not because I'm mad. It's just like the way the match was going. And I'm
Mhm.
shocked that, they have a lot of trust in him in that, where they're like, oh, that's a big win. Like that's an established champion. I'm sorry, like big, like, yeah, Josh Briggs is Josh Briggs, but he's rising up. But
Yeah.
Dijak is that dog. I love Dijak. So to get a win over him is huge. And I'm obsessed with Obafemi. Obsessed.
And Trick Mello was fun. It was really
Very
fun to
fun.
be a part of the Whoop That Trick crowd.
I did take that video. I took a video of that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that delivered, I would say. They're not done though. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that goes, because now Trick is challenging Ilya for the title, and if he loses, he has to leave NXT. So it's kind of like, I'm assuming that Trick wins and Ilya leaves, but that's okay. So yeah, because then we saw him on Raw as you were going to the bathroom, but whatever, that's another story. So let's move on
I gotta
to
pee. What? Like, I don't know.
okay, hold on. Let me see some of these comments, because let's see. Okay. Heyman has the facial reactions. He can talk smack against anybody. He is a genius. And on top of that, he saw something in CM Punk when nobody else did. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that Punk was sitting with his kids. I thought that was pretty cool. And he also did mention Brock Lesnar. I was like, again, like that was a little bit controversial, but I feel like you kind of can't.
You can't.
You can't
You
talk
can't.
about Paul Heyman in WWE and not mention the fact that he was with Brock Lesnar. Like that's why I was like, I feel like that's okay. You know what I mean?
And Brock wasn't actually named, right? Like it was.
No, he did.
Oh,
Yes.
Brock was named in it.
Yes, he said that he
Oh.
was the advocate or whatever for
No,
the
no.
21-1.
No, not that. I'm saying, was he mentioned in the Vince shit, redacted like stuff? I don't think he was, so it's okay.
Yes.
Oh, what?
Not
Like,
his
name.
yes, not
Name.
necessarily his name, but everybody knows that it's Lesnar.
Okay, so it's okay. So all
Yeah.
right, there's some
Yeah.
leeway. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just more.
Vinny, yes, Corbin has been in NXT for a while. That's why he's not been on the main roster. He was just tag team champion with Braun Breaker. They just lost last night. Damon, that's right. Acknowledge your tribal queen.
We do.
Tony D'Angelo did not win. Ilya won. I haven't seen all of the winners of the Slammies yet, but I love Chelsea Green. I
slept through it. I mean,
yeah.
Once we talk about what we're going to right now, night one was and not even the show itself, it's afterwards, because we got to talk about that nonsense too.
I did see that someone asked hold on, someone asked us if it was actually as cold as they said it was.
Oh,
on night one. I'm just trying to see. I saw it. I saw your comment and I don't know where it is now. But yes, it was freezing for night one. And that's not just coming from someone who, lives in Arizona and deals with like 90 to 100 degree plus weather 9 months out of the year. It was below 50. It was like 45 degrees. So everybody was freezing. And I do think that because of the adverse reaction and the general assumption that the Philly crowd sucked on night one. The weather had something to do with it, on top of the fact that if you really look at the night one card, it was not as stacked as night two. So we first saw Rhea versus Becky. So that was the first match of the weekend, which, okay, first of all, let's talk about Rhea's entrance. Okay, Becky, great entrance. I love the inclusion of her book and the excerpts and stuff like that was so cool, and she looked incredible. But I'm sorry, I can't say that it was better than Queen Rhea, because girl,
I saw one of my favorite bands perform live for a wrestling show that I was at for one of my favorite women wrestlers. Like what else do you want? Like it was everything wrapped into one great piece of pumpkin pie. It was great.
It was so good. Like I feel like we didn't need it to do this, but it just catapulted Rhea into like superstardom. Like she's already there, but she's gotten like she's just at the top now. Like if there was any doubt about how incredible this girl is, this ended that, you know, and that entrance was just like icing on the cake. So that was a good match. I think it was a great way to start the weekend. And I think I was a little bit surprised that Rhea was definitely getting more love than Becky was. But I think given the circumstances, it kind of makes a little bit of sense because Rhea's just on fire right now. Everyone's obsessed with Rhea right now.
You can't touch mommy. I'm sorry. She's the coolest.
Well, and the thing that's cool, I think that one of the better things about Rhea too is like she's really liked because she's kind of a tweener, you know, she's a babyface and a heel at the same time. Basically, it just depends on the crowd and the week and her opponent. But also, she backs it up. She's a great talker and she's incredible in the ring. So it's like she appeals to everybody on some level, and I think that that's why it's like hard for Becky to kind of like take over the match, because it's like like not everyone loves Becky no matter what. I mean, I love her, but there's just something about Rhea that just like draws people in. So I thought it was a good decision to have her retain, and it looks like Becky is also going to be going on a break for a while, which she's earned it.
Absolutely. So
I can't argue against that.
That was sick.
And then we go into the 6-man tag team ladder match, which I think we didn't really get to talk about our oh, this is right. Becky was sick. Becky had strep throat, guys, in case you didn't know that.
And Rhea had a panic attack midway about to walk through the curtain.
Yeah, so kudos to them, because I had strep throat once, and I don't know how Becky was out there. I don't know how she did it, because I was miserable. I don't know how she did it.
You were healthy and just cold. And you were like, I can't move.
Yeah, but when I had strep throat, I like couldn't get out of bed, and I was like crying. It was so bad. But anyway, the 6-pack challenge went exactly how I had predicted, or said that I thought it should go, which was titles hanging on 2 different like things that you could grab. And we knew, based on all the rumors online, that A-Town Down Under was more than likely going to be winning the SmackDown ones, which I was fine with, because I think they were the only SmackDown team.
The New Catch Republic.
Oh yeah, but we knew they weren't going to win. Like, come on, we knew that.
But they're supposed to get kicked from the match.
Yeah,
Didn't some like authentic, real journalist say it?
Yeah.
No? Okay. I don't know.
So that happened pretty quickly, and I feel like people were kind of surprised about it. I was so here for it. I was so excited for them, because I was like, okay, if we're keeping these guys together and we're not going to split them to try and push them on their own, keep them together and have them be the SmackDown champions, because I think that's so much more interesting and entertaining than New Catch Republic, because as great as they are to watch in the ring, I'm just not.
They're not there yet.
They're not there yet. I don't care.
We need more from them.
And then the rest. Yeah, the rest of the match was great. R-Truth with the hot tag, even though it wasn't a tag match.
That was one of my favorite moments of the match, is when he is on the apron and Miz just looks at him like, what are you doing? And then it's like, F it, and plays into it. And that hot tag was one of the funniest. God, he's so entertaining. Like, just so entertaining. Oh,
yeah.
I did mark out too. I marked out too.
I mean, I would say that the match was good. I think that we all knew that it's going to be chaotic. It's a ladder match with 6 teams in it. You're not going to expect it to be perfect. You're not going to be able to see everything.
I watch a screen. during that
Yeah,
match.
there was a lot of moments where you had to watch the screen
Yeah, I
because you
watched
couldn't
it.
see everything. So I mean, I enjoyed it. I've never seen a ladder match in person,
Really?
so
Oh,
I don't believe I have. I don't think so.
I went to
So
Money in the Bank, so
that was cool
I
for
don't know.
me. And then we got to see the big 3 versus Damage Control, which not the best match of the night, but honey, first of all, Damage Control looked bomb. So
Dakota
good.
Kai, mother
Yeah,
of
Dakota
God,
looked beautiful.
gorgeous.
I loved their gear, everything. I just loved it. And then the big 3. Oh my God,
That's an entrance.
Queens.
That was an entrance.
I just loved everything about it. Okay, like I think this was a match that like no one was really looking forward to. No one necessarily really wanted to see. But it was what was on the card to get Damage Control on there, and then of course to get the big 3 girls on there as well. So I loved how they went kind of like full Beyonce with how they like got
Oh, it was not
introduced.
Texas, but yeah.
Yeah, and the way that they like collaborated their outfits, everything was just top notch. Match was fine. Jade won. Great debut for her.
Need to have the pin.
Yeah, so it is what it is. It did what it did. It did what it had to do. Definitely not something that most people are talking about anymore at this point. But it is what it is. So then we moved on to another tag match: Andrade and Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar and Dom Dom.
This was
the sa-
awesome.
I mean, it was a great match, but at the same time, it was just kind of like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, it did its job. Nothing exciting other than catering to the Philly crowd, of course, by having the 2 masked men that obviously you could tell were offensive linemen, and it ended up being Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. So to me, I was like,
I love it.
but
I love Jason Kelsey, so I'm a
yeah,
big fan of
so
Jason Kelsey.
that was cool. I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, that Andrade and Ray won, just because I felt like, I mean, they were just a randomly put together team at that point, and that I felt like, to hammer home their heeledness, I felt like we needed to see a Santos and Dom Dom win, but whatever, I don't, again, there wasn't a whole lot that was hinging on the result of that match. So, whatever. Then we got into, oh God. Okay, so if you want to talk a lot about a match on night 1, we can talk about Gunther versus Sami Zayn.
Oh,
Yeah.
emotion filled.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I first
You
I
gotta
wasn't
start from the start. You gotta
yeah,
start from the yeah.
I wasn't in love with Gunther's entrance. I wish that we did get the introduction with yeah, the Ludwig Kaiser introduction, but we just had him take the jacket and whatever. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Sammy got the like babyface treatment ridiculousness of being like, oh, like kissing, hugging babies basically backstage and running into Kevin and like getting it done. And then his wife is like ringside, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't. And that's when I knew. I was like, all right, he's either losing really bad or he's winning. Like, I saw, I think it was Vinny or somebody in the chat already. So I was like, Sarah, you were right about Gunther. Yeah, it might have been Richard. I know. So I was like one of the only people cheering for Gunther. There was actually quite a few eventually.
You weren't alone.
Yeah, so at the beginning, I was like the only one, like, woohoo, and then as the match was going on, that's when you started to hear, let's go Sammy, let's go Gunther. And that's why I was asking people, I was like, did you hear this on the show? Like, could you hear it through the TV? Because they were loud enough for me to join in. You know what I mean? Like, you could audibly hear it when you were there. So I'm wondering, I think it was heard through the TV. So that was kind of cool, because I was like, oh, okay, Gunther actually does have some fans in here besides me. I liked the way the match went. I liked how dominant that they made Gunther look. I hate that he lost, even though I knew months ago that that was probably what was going to happen. It's how he lost that still pisses me off. And I feel like
I disagree here, but continue.
I don't. What match did we skip?
That's what I was. I had the same thought. I don't think we missed a match.
No, we haven't talked. No, we haven't talked about it yet. We haven't talked about all of them yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't like how Gunther lost, and I know that probably people don't agree with me, but the thing that I have is, I don't love that he dominated basically 90% of the match, right? Even like, trolling Sammy's wife and whatever, and then we just get
Hilarious.
full Super Cena mode out of Sammy. I never really liked the Super Cena stuff, even when it was coming from John Cena. So that's the irony that I think is in this whole situation, is that that's like one of the things that people always hammered home about why they didn't like John Cena, but they were eating that up when it came to Sami Zayn. And I'm like, you guys are so hypocritical. Like, you're so hypocritical, because there's no reason for Sammy to have done that. There's also no reason for him to have to have beaten Gunther with a haluva kick and a brainbuster. I'm sorry. This man just whipped your ass for like 20 minutes, and then we hit 2 moves, and then it's like, oh, he's done. And then Gunther's fine. Gunther's fine. He's sitting up, like, walking away like nothing happened. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, you really just ended this man's streak?
Yeah.
And he's not even like limping or being like taken out like on a stretcher. Like, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it.
See, okay. I loved it because it was a callback to his El Generico Ring of Honor days, where that was his super finisher, and
Only
it
the
was when
smarks know that.
Then call me smart
I'm
numero
just telling
uno.
you how
I
I
don't
didn't know
care.
that. Most people didn't know that. They thought it was a botch.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't
That's
really,
why it's awesome.
it doesn't cater to the everyday fan, is what I mean.
But they're gonna be doing that type of stuff with like little details, like I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but to preview, like the Rock Cody Rhodes stuff, like they were chanting "This is awkward," and then days later, we're on Twitter and we find out the real reason behind it, which we'll get to. But the point is that like that's a detail that they're going into right now with wrestling, and the fact that they're doing the stuff like from other promotions from their past and building up these super finishers where like it's the one move, because I'm a big proponent of there needs to be a move in your arsenal that is the one and done. It doesn't, like, I don't care what it is, but when you hit this, that is the signal the match is over. And the only people I know that have that right now are Sammy and Cody, and obviously Mr. Cena himself. But I love that, and the fact that it took his super finisher to beat Gunther. And it goes into the, you got to dig deep. Like, you always find a way. You always find a way. It really bled into that. So for me, like, I loved it because it makes me more invested. It makes me more invested in Sammy at the end of the day.
I think that I don't know, some of my biggest issues is like, one, Sammy didn't need this. Sammy didn't need a WrestleMania win. He didn't need to beat Gunther. It's not, and you can't convince me otherwise. So don't even try. Anybody.
Oh, I'm not gonna try.
Because we're really talking
that's your
about
opinion.
We're talking about a dude who's 1 year removed from main eventing WrestleMania in a tag match with his best friend and winning the tag titles from the longest reigning tag team champions in company history. Did he really then need to 1 year later be the longest reigning intercontinental champion? No. And I love Sammy, but like, come on, brother. Like, no. But then my other issue is that Gunther's probably going to be on vacation for a bit, which that's fine. You know, he's got a young baby and whatever. Like, he deserves it because he had over 100 title defenses in the 666 days, blah, 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 blah. The thing that I have an issue with, and most people I think are overlooking it, which I've stressed this a million times, but I'll stress it again. Yay, we get to get Gunther in the main event title picture. Okay, when, guys? When's that happening? Because it's sure not happening right now. Okay, so we have Damian Priest as the champion right now. We already know that he's going to be going up against Jey Uso because he just won that #1 contenders match, which was an elimination, by the way, and they did not go with that. by the way.
It was supposed to be elimination.
Yep, that's how it was introduced. So yeah.
Oh.
So he's going to be doing that. We know that Drew is still going to be connected in this, and same thing with Punk. We know that they have Clash of the Castle happening in Scotland. So there's virtually no possible way that Drew is leaving Clash of the Castle not the champion. There's like no way. It's like 0 to none. It's it's happening. So are we going to get a Drew versus Gunther? No, because we're going to get Drew versus Punk. So Gunther is not going to be in the world title picture for months. And so to me, it's like, then keep him off TV for months, bro. Because like, if you're not putting him, oh my God, if you're not going to put him in the main title picture, then what was the point of taking the title off, the Intercontinental title off him? I don't get it. I don't agree with it. I will never agree with it. But
yeah,
you know, whatever. I don't love it. I don't love it. Then we move on to Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso, which I think that we can all unanimously say under-delivered and underwhelmed.
Tunchi was the best part of this match.
Which was so random still, because it's like he's not even from Philly.
Don't
like,
care.
There's no connection to Jay either. But I mean, I think that, you know, I can respect that this was a match. I can respect that they wanted this, that this was a dream match, and this was like the perfect opportunity for them to have a match against each other at WrestleMania. So they did what they wanted to do. That's it. Otherwise, this is not a match that anyone's going to remember. And yeah, it did not.
It was so PWG vibes. Such PWG vibes.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't what we wanted. And then we get to the night one main event, which was, of course, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, and whoever won. It was basically dictating the stipulation for night 2, and I got what I wanted. I wanted the bloodline.
Great?
I wanted the bloodline to win this match, because I wanted everything to be stacked against Cody on night 2, and that's what we got. But this match told a story. This match was all over the place. The Rock having 3 months of training leading up to this was needed.
Yeah.
He did a great job, and he looked phenomenal. So I thought this match was fine. I didn't really have like super high expectations for this match anyway. Like this wasn't the match I was looking forward to the most over the weekend. So it's not like I don't know what people's reactions are. I know that they're kind of split, I would say, but I feel like if you had high expectations for this, and you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment, because it was like,
this isn't fit. Yeah.
It didn't need to be this big over the top ludicrous match. That wasn't what it was going to be. You knew that was what night 2 was going to be.
Yeah, they needed to just fight for a little bit, and then I believe that fighting in the crowd, going all over the arena, that was necessary, you know. And The Rock doing the "I will fire you, don't you fucking count," like dropping the F-bomb, like that was exactly how that should have gone. Is The Rock just throwing his power around, all willy-nilly. And you know, you're gonna have people like, "Oh, there he is, The Rock just throwing it." It's like, that's what the battle bot, like, that's what he's doing. Like, that's the pivot. All right, that's the believe in the pivot. And I enjoyed all of it. I mean, the spear on Roman, the spear Roman delivered to The Rock, and the way he sold it, like, that was so good. And then the finish, I love the finish of this match because Roman didn't get pinned. And Roman won.
Who got pinned and who predicted it?
You did predict. I thought Seth was going to get pinned. Yeah. All right. You're right again. All right.
Me. I know. Well, I don't get enough credit because you're always like, I'm a wizard. I'm going to predict it. You're wrong, Sarah. So I was right.
I'm a wizard.
I predicted the entire night 2 card order too.
Did you really? I didn't know that. Did you really?
Yes. You even told me. You were like, oh my gosh, are you a witch? It was another situation where you asked if I was a witch.
Oh no, that's right. Because you kept saying like, this is next, this is next. And
yeah,
like,
this is next.
Sure.
This is next.
And then it'd be like, this next match, and it was legit what you just said to me. So I'm like, all right, you witch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. And then I love how the People's Elbow, I love seeing it live. And I even think I did my own rendition of Jerry Lawler calling it the most electrifying move.
Yes,
I marked out. Sorry. It was I marked out. It was awesome.
it's all right.
I love it.
And then we move on to that's right. Thank you, Vinny. I know.
The Warlock.
And then we move on to night 2, which started with another title match, which was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. And holy moly.
I need to find this comment before we keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, they both had really cool entrances. I loved Drew's entrance. Very cool with all the swords. I loved Seth's like randomness and all these cool whatever. That's what we were saying. And that's what people were saying. Yeah. Because we sat next to really cool people on night 1, and I was like befriending them.
I gotta get there. I want to follow them. I want to follow them. They were great.
Yeah, so they were cool. And then on night 2, Pat was sitting next to a bunch of like British guys, and so
they're the best.
Yeah, so they were mentioning it too, that it looked like it was an Adam Rose entrance, which I was fine with, because I'm like, as that one guy said, Adam Rose was before his time.
When he said that, I was like, this guy knows ball. He knows ball. If he's saying Adam Rose was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Absolutely was.
So that was cool. And then the match, I mean, yeah, it delivered. It was exactly what we wanted.
It was exactly what we thought.
I was emotional because I was like, oh my God, Drew won. Like, even though I had been saying it for a while that I thought that was what was going to happen, it was just really cool to like see that in person. And then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking in my mind, right? Like, and I was saying this to, who was I saying this to? I don't even remember. But thinking about how I was rooting for Drew McIntyre and how I was like emotional that I got to see him win, I'm thinking like, I'm seriously sitting here cheering for a guy from 3MB. Like, that's what I'm doing right now. Like, one of the guys that was in the 3-man band, that's who I'm like fawning over right now. Okay. Like, that was so weird. That was like just crazy to think about how far he had come.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
First of all, I loved how the match began too. Like, just Drew going at him. I love that he went to his wife and like texted from his phone, like, and tweeting, bored at work, LOL. I thought that was hilarious.
That was so funny.
I liked how he presented his wife with the championship after he won. Then he went over and he taunted CM Punk, told him to suck it. And that was when all hell broke loose. And my heart fell out of my chest because Punk decided, hey guys, I'm back already. Takes off his, arm stuff, and then goes after Drew, which then prompts Damian Priest to come out to finally cash in his Money in the Bank contract, and he ends up becoming our current and new World Heavyweight Champion. So I was kind of torn on this, okay, because I love me some Drew, but also, I love me some Judgment Day. I love me some Damian Priest. So I also kind of talked about the possibility of this happening, that I felt like Drew was inevitably winning, and that they were going to be like, okay, he gets his win in front of a live crowd, gets that win that he never got when he won the championship previously, and Damian was going to come in and cash in. I just wasn't sure how it was going to happen, because I was like, Drew is standing. Drew's fine. He's not beaten down. There's no reason for Damian to cash in. So I like that they involved Punk, I guess, in that way. It made more sense. And I mean, I can be okay with Damian being World Heavyweight Champion. I mean, like, they had to do something, and I would prefer that he cashed in and it was successful than it not be.
1,000% agree. Your heart fell out of your chest. I jumped up and I was so excited. I love seeing Money in the Bank cash-ins, and I predicted this. I'm sorry. There was this gut feeling. You knew he was going to cash in, and then he finally does it, and the way he did it, oh my God, it was awesome. It was so great.
I see the people saying that you hate that Drew lost it. I don't like it either, but we have to remember there's still news suggesting that Drew has not signed a contract, like a new contract. From what I understand, his contract was supposed to be up already, but they like extended it. And based off of what we're seeing, his like involvement already with the foundation of a story with CM Punk, which continued on Raw, dude's not leaving, at least not anytime soon. Plus, they just announced that Clash at the Castle is going to be in Scotland. You really think Drew's not going to be there, or that Drew's not going to walk out champion in Scotland? Of course he is. So when we'll talk about it, but Drew said the Bondage Undertaker is a transitional champion. He's not wrong. I guess much as I'd love Bondage Undertaker, he is a transitional champion. He'll be champion for 2.5 months. And then whether it's a triple threat with Punk or whatever, I feel like we are really hard pressed to not believe that Drew will be walking out champion in Scotland, which I feel like, he got his Mania moment. He got to celebrate it in front of a crowd, but imagine how much better it will be for him to be able to win the championship in his home country in front of his family. Like, I think that we need to think about it from that perspective. And I'm sure that he's probably more than okay
he's all right with it.
Have it. You know what I mean? As long as we hopefully hear that he resigns, because could end up being a Summer of Punk ending where he ends up being like and leaves with the title
in Scotland.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like with like that. See, yes, like that is so much better than him winning at Mania and not having any of what happened. Like seriously, like that is a better payoff. You have to think that way.
Yeah. Drew has a contract. He doesn't have an extension. Like, he hasn't re-signed a contract to like keep him beyond like the next 2 months or whatever. Yeah. His contract was originally set to expire, from what I understand, like the day after WrestleMania. Obviously that didn't happen because they extended it a bit. And then they announced that show. The Scotland show is in June. I believe it's like June 12th. Yeah. So Clash at the Castle this year is in June. So that's why I think that Damian will be champion until Clash at the Castle, and that's when Drew will take it away from him. That's my guess. That's why I'm thinking don't be too upset about Drew not winning or like not going home with the title.
I want to
at Mania.
We did.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to just get this because we got a nice $5 dono again. What's up?
Woo-hoo!
Will, thank you. I don't know if you've been a regular peep or whatnot, but thank you if you are going to be a regular peep. You saw Julia. That was great. We saw her at Stand and Deliver. And you got to actually talk to her. That's amazing. And asked her if she was going to any of the shows. And she said, I don't know. And then winked. So, good shit, Will. Way to get that.
I saw an update on her too, because people were kind of confused about her reaction at Stand and Deliver. It's because she didn't know that she was being shown on camera. Yeah. She didn't know that the reaction was to her. So, she got quite a big pop when they showed her on the camera and was like, oh, because you heard rumors about Julia being there, but there was no confirmation that she had signed a contract with WWE, because like everybody is in town WrestleMania weekend. So it's like Tony Khan was at my hotel. We'll talk about Mojo Rawley was there as well.
Oh, friend of the show?
Yeah, friend of the
show.
Maybe
one day?
I don't know. So Julia could have been there for any reason, but then they showed her at NXT. So obviously she is signing with WWE in some capacity. So that is pretty cool. I
do want to get to this because he does make a good point. Jay does bring up a good point, is that asking if the Prime logo bothered us, because we haven't mentioned it. That's right. We didn't, and we've mentioned a lot of stuff that bothered us over the weekend. This really didn't, and we did talk about this when we were at the event, and it was because of how they did it.
The original concept that they sold us was that this giant, like, red and blue bottle of Prime was going to be in the middle of the ring. And I said, if that's what they were going to do, I'm going to hate it every single pay-per-view, because it's like, it's so distracting. I don't love that it's in the middle of the ring. I appreciate that it's like black, so it's like not in your face. So that did kind of make it a little bit more digestible, honestly. So I glad that they went in that direction instead of what they originally showed us, because I think that would have been way more problematic and would have received like an adverse reaction from fans. So as long as they leave it at the Prime logo, I do not want to see them adding more. I don't want to see more on, like, the ring mat is sacred. Okay.
Well, yeah, of course. That's your brand.
Yes. So moving on, because there's a couple matches we can probably talk about. Well, this is one of them that we can talk about quickly. The Pride versus the Final Testament. It is what it is. It was a Philly street fight. It was fine. There are some cool moments in there. Scarlett. Queen. That's all I gotta say.
Queen. B-Fab looking
Well,
fly as hell.
yeah, but Scarlett.
I know, but
I'm sorry. So the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley won, which that was fine. And it's like it's not the most ideal situation, I feel like, for Bobby Lashley to be in a match like that. But he wasn't on the card last year, so at least he was there and not the flippin' Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal champion. And then we moved on to LA Knight versus AJ Styles. And I have to say, I don't know if it came through on TV, but I would say that LA Knight was definitely one of the most over people of the entire weekend. Like, hands down. Yeah, chance constantly.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you this at the end of the show, but since we're talking about that, I'll ask you this. If I told you this when we were there, that when I came back, there would be only 3 words or phrases in my vernacular, and it was yeah, yeet, and no yeet. The entire.
And Rey Mysterio has $10.
You haven't even got to that. Rey Mysterio has $10. Okay, yeah, just keep going because I need to get to that. So we're fucking out.
Yeah. So this one, I think this was a cool match. LA Knight was really cool to see. It was really cool to be there for his first WrestleMania, and I think that him and AJ did a great job. Like this is exactly what I think if you're an LA Knight fan that you were hoping, because it was a good match between both of them, and LA was able to get the win. That was really cool, and it was cool because he also sent out a tweet later about like acknowledging everybody that was cheering for him, that he could hear us like all night long. So that was fun to be a part of, especially as someone who's been a fan of LA for quite a while, especially before he became like the hot guy that everyone was jumping on the bandwagon for. So shout out LA Knight. Then we get to the US title match, which was Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton versus Logan Paul. This match was fine. I loved Kevin Owens coming out on the golf cart and then backing it up to get Randy Orton.
He's my favorite. I love him so much.
I think that this match was really entertaining, but I do think that we need to see something new from Logan Paul, because I think that like having a secret person in the prime bottle, it's just it's like we've already seen it. We already know that you're going to use the brass knuckles. Like we just need something new. Like that gets heat and that gets people to like boo him, but why not like elevate it, like build upon that, do something that's going to make me hate you more that we haven't seen you do yet, because it's becoming predictable at this point. Like everybody was saying, watch out for the prime bottle, watch out for the prime bottle.
Who's in that prime bottle? It was Speed.
Yeah, and I don't even want to talk about him because he's the most obnoxious human being. But like,
I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah,
I really didn't even know who he was.
You don't want to know who he is. So
isn't he obsessed with Ronaldo? Whatever.
I don't know. But anyway, so I mean the match was fine. I think that most of us knew, that Logan was going to retain in some way, because neither Kevin nor Randy needed the US title. They're kind of above it at this point,
really
know.
Are.
So
no, seriously,
there was really no need for them to go after it anyway. It was just because they had beef with Logan, and Logan just happens to be the US champion. Like that was basically the only reason. So it was whatever. I just think that if they're going to keep going with Logan and as the champion, that they do need to figure out something different to do, because I don't want to always just be like, okay, there's the prime bottle. Okay, here's the brass knuckles, like do something else. But yeah,
that's really all I had. Yeah, it was so Randy Orton said that he was going to try an RKO that he never hit before. And I thought it was going to be a double RKO. I saw this report and I was waiting for the double RKO. I'm 90% sure it was the pop-up power bomb and Randy Orton being in the air like that and coming down.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's like he has to outdo himself, because he's done so many crazy RKOs now. It's not just like an RKO out of nowhere. It's like an RKO out of a stunner, an RKO of Evan Bourne doing a moonsault. You know what I mean? It's like there's just so many different things that he needs to try and outdo. It's like you have to really sit there and think about like, okay, how have I not done an RKO yet? Like,
yeah.
That's gonna steal the show, because he wasn't wrong when he was like, hey, I've gone viral for my RKOs, and I was like, that's right, brother, that's right. And then we get to the co-main event, Bayley versus Io Sky, and their entrances are kind of going under the radar, but I loved them both. I think they were both really cool.
I like how they presented Io. That was my favorite. That was my takeaway from the entrances is that they made her look like a massive star. And it's one thing that the Japanese wrestling, that New Japan Joshi style does well, not just with women, but everyone is they do well with making them a star. And the entrance, it wasn't, it didn't have like a live performance or, a lot of theatrics, but it was the way the lighting and all the little detail stuff. Like it was so well done. And then you on top of that have Bailey, who someone asked if what we thought of the new entrance songs that were debuted. And I love Bailey. I like Bailey's a little bit more than AJ Styles.
Yeah.
AJ's just kind of like a little bit more of like a darker They Don't Want None. I wanted to see like the Wicked Ways type of thing, or if it's not going to be Wicked Ways itself, have it be a cover type of thing, like copyright free, type of style. Def Rebel, put your spin on that. But Bailey's was like, all right, this is like this is a new, like you can tell right away in the entrance when she was just carried out like an Egyptian. I mean, there was a tweet someone said, I haven't, what was it? I forget, but continue.
Yeah, I just liked everything about their entrances. And I feel like Bailey's new theme also just like set the vibe, like this era of Bailey, which I like because I mean, we use the term era a lot, but I feel like when you're around long enough, like your character does go through changes, and this is a new change, a new character for Bailey. So I like her song. I think, yeah, I liked how Io was presented too, like the screens and everything. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool. The designs.
And their match was so good. And I think part of that is because they've worked together so much for the past, what nearly 2 years. And I was glad that they got put as like a co-main event. Like we were hoping that they were going to be a main event. We thought maybe they would be the main event of night one, or at least a co-main event, because obviously the tag match was the main event. But I'm glad that they got pushed to day 2 and that they were the one right before the big one, because I think that they deserved it. And I think that they lived up to the hype. Like, I think that they got a better reaction for the most part. Like, people were more invested in this match than they were of Becky and Rhea. So it felt fitting. So I was happy to see Bailey win. I thought that was a really cool moment. She was super over too.
Oh,
like
super
she was
over.
One of the people that I think got the loudest reaction overall over the weekend.
Her, Cody, LA Knight.
Yeah, other than the main ones, obviously.
But I would put her with like the LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of it. Seth, Drew got a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd agree.
And then we get to the main event, which was Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And entrances, bomb. Both bomb. Something that people are not noticing was the beginning key of Cody's entrance theme was the same one as Roman's entrance song. Shout out to that small detail there.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like the same beginning. It's good.
I gotta rewatch the pay-per-view, so I'll catch it when
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't had time, but I have the next 2 days off. So
I'm spending my Sunday doing that. Yeah.
I loved Cody coming out as the American Nightmare with that mask. I loved the inclusion of Brandy. I thought that was cool, and she thought it was really cool because she got a pop. Like once we saw her show up, that was really cool, and you just felt like the importance of it. But it wasn't the way that they went about it last year, where it was like Cody came over and was like kissing everybody in his family, where you're like, shit, he's gonna lose. You know what I mean? Like, because most of the time when they do that, it means that they're losing. So I thought that was cool, and then Brandy was like really like appreciative of that, because obviously she wasn't received well in AEW, especially towards the end. And then I really liked how they went about with Roman's entrance too, because it felt
so like
important.
my god! Anytime you have a freaking orchestra
Yeah.
play you out, and I'm obsessed with orchestras.
Mm-hmm.
I love string instruments. So you have the cello, they had the whole quartet, like it was insane. And
Yeah.
then they actually play like, oh my god, I was like chills. Like
Yeah, no, it was they both really delivered it, and I'm glad because, I think that Mania is where we should be seeing these types of entrances, and it's bummed me out over the last, like, I don't know, like 10, 15 years where we just weren't seeing that many people have any sort of entrance, like anything different than what we see on Raw or SmackDown. And I feel like the two that they decided to have, it made the match feel even bigger than we already felt. Because it was like, it was a huge match, but then the way that they came about it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the main event. You know what I mean? And people I know were complaining a little bit about how slow this match was, and I had no problem with how this match went. The match had to start slow. It was telling a story. It made sense. Everything made sense. It couldn't come in and be like complete high energy right away, because that made no sense. That wouldn't have served the match well at all. Like nothing. It just wasn't right. And I liked that they didn't jump into using or like utilizing the bloodline rules for a while, because I think that would have been also kind of like if it like
Yeah, I
went
know.
straight into, oh, here's all the tricks and whatever that Roman's going to use. It took a while before they did that, which I thought was nice. And of course we saw that with Jimmy coming out, which Jay stopped. Then we saw
Here we go. The Cody Avengers. List them.
John Cena.
What after Solo comes out?
Yeah, after Solo, but Solo doesn't.
I'm
Solo comes out
I'm
and
going in
tries
order.
it.
I'm going in
He
order.
hits the Samoan spike, which didn't work, which
And
I was like,
spear. Smoke spike
yeah,
into the spear.
that was just crazy, because I'm like, that was a move that they've been protecting, but not anymore. Which made it feel again even more significant, because Cody was able to overcome that, because he definitely did not want to fall to the same move that he lost to last year. So John Cena comes out, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I knew that he was gonna be there. We all knew that he was gonna be there, but oh my god, I can't even tell you how excited I was, because that is the love of my life. Him and Cody Rhodes, the loves of my life. I have not seen John Cena in
Live.
over 10 years.
Yeah.
Over 10 years. Yeah, so that was really cool. But I think the thing that stole the show, okay, was the gong.
Listen, Sarah. Listen.
Because the Rock came out.
Yeah, he's right. Well, I was gonna add, because Cena comes out, he does his Super Cena stuff, throws Solo through, and then the Rock hits. Okay.
Yep. Then
the
we get
Rock
that moment.
music hits, and you get the Cena Rock staring face to face, and this is when I start just waterworks, because
it's been 10 years for that too.
And oh my god, I was in shambles. Like I was so, I don't know. I can't put it into words. I physically can't. And then he hits him with the rock bottom, obviously. And then I did cheer a little bit, because my guy. And then like out of nowhere, you and I thinking we're gonna hear some glass shatter.
Mm-hmm.
We hear something else, and when that gong hit, a spirit came out of my body. It was out of body experience. Never seen the Undertaker hit the gong in person. I didn't really expect to see him at all, but after seeing stuff on Twitter that he's basically been feuding with the Bloodline since his, first start in WWE.
Yeah.
Like, that is even more so a better reason than just Stone Cold, because he hates his rival with The Rock.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I get chills now. Like, seriously, like, that was, I think, the coolest experience I've had as a wrestling fan ever, was to hear the gong hit, and it's him behind the 100. Yeah.
I've watched that moment, I can't even tell you how many times, because also like the crowd reaction. Like, I don't even care about what he did. I don't care about what happened. It's like the crowd reaction, where it was just like, because you hear those moments, and they're few and far between, because obviously those types of things shouldn't happen often enough for us to get used to it. But now it's like surreal to know that I'm a part of that. Like that. that is like, and I know exactly what I remember. I like looked at you and I was like, oh my God. Because it's like, I'm not an Undertaker fan, but like I respect him.
No,
Obviously.
you're not like the biggest Undertaker super fan. Yes. Neither am I. But real reckoning is real.
So that was like, yeah. And I know we talked about it even with some people like at the shows, like in line or on the train or whatever. We were all expecting for it to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I think it was actually cooler in a way that it was The Undertaker because nobody knew that was going to happen. Like the prediction had been John Cena and Stone Cold. And the fact that we got John Cena, okay, cool. People were happy to see him.
Yeah, you needed a good Solo too. That connects with Solo, so it makes sense.
And so the fact that we got The Undertaker and Stone Cold was just at home playing with his cat, like, okay, cool, bro. Like that was cool.
Do you? I don't care that you play with a cat. Like, go for it. You are missing. There was something that happened beforehand.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into the end of the match, so it's actually kind of good that we mentioning it now.
Mm-hmm.
When that Shield music hits, I want this on record. Okay, I hand up champ's honor. I thought it was Jon Moxley. I'm not even. I was so delusional from the people that came out and just the spectacle of it all. I legitimately thought we were gonna get Jon Moxley.
A lot of people did, though. A lot of people were like, "Holy shit, is Dean Ambrose here?" Like, But then there was like, so I thought that too, but I didn't think it was gonna be just him. I was like, when I heard the Shield music, I immediately thought we're getting Ambrose and Rollins, and I was like, "There's no way Ambrose is here," because obviously he hates WWE, can't stop talking shit about it. But like, I thought so too. I was like, maybe a one-off. And the problem with it was, as you know, we'll get into the Seth stuff in a second, but like we didn't know where to look. I missed everything that happened until Seth got hit and was on the ground. I didn't know that Seth was in the ring until I then looked and he was like dead on the ground. I had no idea. So the way that they went about that wasn't great. But of course, the fact that he dressed up like the Shield, was Cody's Shield as he promised, that he dressed up in the Shield gear, brought in a chair, which then forced Roman to choose who am I going to hit with the chair.
Yeah,
and
come on.
Instead of hitting Cody with the chair, who he was in the match against, he sought his revenge against Rollins from 10 years ago when he turned on the Shield and he made the mistake of hitting Rollins with that chair, which then slowly but surely ensured that Cody was able to get the 1, 2, 3 on Roman. God. And I already saw Ashton in the comments saying it, but don't even worry. I don't cry. That I don't mind. I cried. I immediately started crying.
We all cried.
Everybody.
I've been waiting for this. Of course we're gonna cry. What are you
other than the Roman crybabies, because I believe that they deserve that name. Other than the Roman crybabies who left because they didn't want to celebrate, which, you know, if that's your thing, then by all means. No, it was emotional, and it wasn't even just because of like, oh my god, it was, oh my god, that was such a good match, and this was 2 years in the making, and like I love Cody or whatever. It was just like a lot of wrestling fans, especially like at my age, have seen the beginning of Cody's career in WWE and all that he went through and what led to him leaving and then going on and like becoming the best version of himself. And then of course you get involved in the story of the last 2 years of like wanting to do what his family was never able to do, that his dad was never able to do. So it was like all this culmination of things, I think, just like came out in tears for everybody. And so yeah, no, I'm not ashamed to admit that I cried. I did not care. You know, I said that I thought it was really awesome that I was there in 2011 when Cody won his first singles title. He beat Ezekiel Jackson for the Intercontinental Championship, and that was his first one. And then I was finally able to be there for his first WWE Championship win.
Nice
so
circle.
Yeah, so that was really cool, and I think it was the right decision, honestly. I know that there's a lot of people that don't think so, and they think that Cody's not the guy, blah 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 blah. I think you're delusional.
He's not the face of the company.
Yeah,
Sarah, we heard on the SEPTA. Shout out SEPTA. Good shit. But he said it. Roman's
Yeah.
the face.
Yeah,
Right?
whatever. So I think that this was the right decision. Like, people are trying to say that there was so much left for Roman to do as a champion. No, there wasn't. The only thing left for him to do was to never show up and still be champion. That was basically all that was left. The bloodline story can continue, but we didn't see any indication that there was going to be something between Rock and Roman. None of that happened, which I thought was going to happen. So yeah, we haven't seen that yet. So yeah, I think that like they've said, like I've said, Cody being crowned Triple H's first champion of the new era is like the perfect start. Because as great as a champion as Roman was, which I know that we have had lots of negative things to say, obviously you can't discredit his reign completely because that's ridiculous. He was Vince's champion, and Triple H was forced to keep him champion because of how everything had
Logistics.
gotten to at that point. So
Absolutely.
I think that this is like, yeah, Cody is the new era, the Renaissance era. That is Cody Rhodes. So
You mentioned
that
Renaissance?
the what?
I'm sorry. You said
Okay.
Renaissance. I didn't talk about me.
No, because that trademark, remember? Huh? Oh, okay. I'm so confused.
It was a play on words. The people
so
get it in the comments.
Renaissance. What?
What is my intro? What is my intro?
Okay, sorry. Anyway, so yeah, I think this was a good decision. We know that Roman is not advertised until the Smackdown before SummerSlam, which I'm fine with. I think that he deserves to have a break if he wants to do that. He's no longer champion, so I can't complain about him sitting down and doing nothing for the next 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes is our champion, guys. So
And I will get to this comment before we talk about the Raw after Mania. I mean, the face full of baby faces after it, and everyone holding up Seth, and the sign of respect, the handshake. Oh god, it was so good. It was so well done.
I loved also that LA Knight was out there, which I don't know if that was any indication of.
Was he really? I kind of missed that.
Yeah, LA Knight was out there. So I don't know if he has like a close relationship with Cody or if he was simply out there because he was also one of the victims of the bloodline, but I just loved it. I thought that was great. Some people thought it was overdone. I don't think so. I feel like that was like such a pivotal moment for not just Cody and his story, but for WWE. Like, it really did feel like that was this era's passing of the torch. So last time that we saw that was The Rock and John Cena. So it's like we were due for another one, and that felt like it. And I feel like, yeah, we're kicked into the new season now. And so it made sense. And I feel like if you couldn't be happy for Cody in that moment, then like you might be a little sociopathic. I'm just saying, because like you don't have to be a fan of Cody to like understand the significance of what just happened, you know?
Yeah, 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree. And then we got one more day that we spent in Philly. So
yeah, and we can just go over it quickly. I mean, there's not like a ton that we.
There's not. The only thing I really want to talk about or mention that we can touch upon is Roxanne and Ilya had great matches, great debuts on Raw. I'm trying to think that I mean, we'll end with the beginning nonsense.
Okay.
You know, I thought those two matches were great. You know,
I think it was a tease of who's going to be in the draft.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah, Ilya's losing to Trick. So.
And then you had Chelsea Green get squashed by Jade, but you don't care because Chelsea did it in the most Chelsea way possible.
Chelsea doesn't care either. Chelsea's like, I got on
Oh,
TV.
exactly. You know? That's why I love Chelsea Green, because she just gets it. Like I'd love to just sit down and talk with her, because obviously her husband is one of my favorites of all time. She has such a great mind too, and great attitude towards like, okay, I'm gonna get a minute or 2 minutes on TV. Well, I'm gonna make the most of it so you remember me. And I mean, boy howdy, how can you forget her? So
yeah. Speaking of Howdy, we did seem to get a clue that Uncle Howdy is going to be making his return. So there was like a weird music that played, and like they were like flickering the lights. I believe before Raw started. And then also during Bronson Reed, his like promo that he did backstage, there was also like a little moment there where they like, you know, did the thing with the television screen or whatever that said like hello or whatever. So I'm here for that because I cannot even begin to explain to you how emotional it was to see the US Express inducted into the Hall of Fame, to have Taylor and Micah introduce their father and uncle, being a part of the Fireflies. Like, oh my God, I was crying. Like I even told Pat I was mad when I got home back to the hotel because he didn't tell me how messed up my eye makeup was. Like, and it was because I was crying.
But everyone was crying. We're all in this together.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool because I wasn't sold on the idea of Bo, aka Taylor, whatever you want to call him, being Uncle Howdy or to be coming back to wrestling in any capacity, because I felt like it might be more difficult for him to do that. But like I feel like there are so many things that they can do with him, and there's probably a lot of ideas that they already have on paper in mind, whatever that Bray wanted to do that maybe he could implement as Uncle Howdy. They could also reintroduce Alexa into it, which I think that would be cool, and he can put his own twist on it. So I'm excited to see how that shapes up. And yeah, other than that, I would say, like, we wanted to say the Rock Cody segment. I would say the Cody stuff was great.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk, because it was the commercial-free Raw or commercial-free first hour, and they took up 45 minutes of that hour.
Yeah.
And did we need it? At the time, I didn't think so, but now that I learned more substance to their whole awkward interaction of can I hold your title?
Yes.
It makes so much sense. And like, this is what I mean, that we're going to get like details like this moving forward, where we're going to have some callbacks that are kind of obscure in a way, but the fans like you and I who have been watching for quite some time are going to pick up on it real quick. So that I love that. And the video package was hilarious that they showed that video package and are in an arena where there were no screens.
I know.
Screens, so like,
yeah, and I know that people were complaining about that too, like the video package, and they're like, oh my God, they're really like selling this thing with Cody. And I'm like, guys, like it's 2 years worth of story, and not even that. You could argue that it's like 20 years of story. You know what I mean?
No, it's
just
his whole career. You can
and
say
it's like
it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what they did. I feel like if they didn't do all of this, and that would feel kind of weird. You know what I mean? Because it's like this is significant on a multitude of levels. So, yeah, no, I was fine with it. I think that the crowd was so awesome on Raw. Like, I know people were complaining about the Philly crowd, but oh my God, that crowd was so fun. Like the "This is awkward" chants, and
that was so
all
funny.
of the chants for Triple H. It was Triple H chants. It was "Thank you, Hunter."
We gotta thank you, Roman.
Yep, we got to thank you,
cool.
Roman.
That was cool.
Which people already clipped because they showed, I think it was like after WrestleMania 31 or 30, I think it was 31 or something, where they were booing and saying "F you, Roman." That was the
That's
chant.
so funny.
And then it's like, 9 years later, we're now saying "Thank you, Roman." So it's like, it just shows you how much things have changed. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the show was fine. Loved the Drew McIntyre stuff. I think that's going to be interesting. He is hilarious. I don't care what anyone says. That man is on top of his game right now. I am so happy that Triple H is in charge and is just allowing these guys to go out there and be themselves, because I think Drew McIntyre is the one that is thriving the most from Triple H's leadership, because not that there was anything wrong with him, but this run that he's on right now is iconic. And him like going out there and saying Damian Priest is that bondage Undertaker, like these types of things are hilarious. Like, I was champion for 5 minutes and 46 seconds. That's 5 minutes longer than you guys last in bed. Like, holy crap, bro. Like, it's just so good. So I feel like this was a really good way to like cap off the weekend. But then it also, I think, gave us a little bit of hints of what we might see at WrestleMania 41. And to be honest, right this second, I am more invested in a Cody versus The Rock than I am The Rock versus Roman.
Yeah.
I would like, I know that things can change. Obviously, we're a year away from Mania, so plenty can change. But I kind of love this because I feel like there is a lot of history here. There's a lot of connection here. There's not a lot of history between Roman and Rock. I don't care what anyone says. They have 1% of blood that's shared between them. Cool. That's not history. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no bad blood between them. And you know what I'm saying? And so that would take a lot. And we know that The Rock is booked basically between like now and the end of the year.
He's the
doing
busiest
movies.
man in the fucking world.
I think that it would be easier for him to pick back up this story with Cody like in January, come Royal Rumble or something, or even if he just has like a periodic appearance, than it would be to try and like start a feud with Roman, because we didn't get any inkling that was the plan. There was nothing that they did to like set that up, but they definitely set up a story between him and Cody. So I'm here for that.
I gotta get to Vinny's here because I think this is a good way.
Oh, I have no idea.
I legitimately don't even know what to guess. Like, I literally don't know what to guess.
I haven't seen anyone say what they think it was. Like, I don't know if this is something that maybe we'll hear about or like Cody will address maybe on Raw. I have no idea. But I haven't even seen anyone say, oh, this is what it was. This is what it was. It was like, but like Cody didn't look too happy about it. So I'm like, but what could it have been? Like small enough to fit in his hand that nobody else could see it?
The only thing I can think of is the he gave, in real life, he gave Seth the Rolex and he like said that. Well, he got two others or more because Roman was wearing the same one that he got Seth.
You mean The Rock? The Rock gave them Rolexes?
No, Cody gave Seth a Rolex.
He
with
did?
like yeah, look it up. He gave him a Rolex.
He was given a Rolex also.
Yeah, that's different. That's the one that his dad pawned.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know that. So, but he got another. He gave one to Seth, bought with himself, and then there was others floating around, and it said that he gave Roman and Rock one because like they're part of.
Yeah.
I believe it could be that if they're really trying to go. But I don't.
Why would he have handed it? Why would he have handed it back to him though?
The only thing I can think of, if we're really trying to go with this blurring the lines, is to give it back to him and really like, what is this? Whatever, like real.
He said, don't break my heart again.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's the only thing I can think of is that. Other than that, I have no other
sense.
Most of the thoughts that are in my head don't make sense, but they just have to come out. So that was like the only thing I can think of. And
maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up like being told, I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that Cody talks about next week or something. Like this is going to be something he'll bring up. They'll try to keep The Rock relevant as much as they possibly can. Because I don't think he like heads into production or whatever for like another 2 weeks, but we'll see.
They can't go into I just had thoughts. Sorry. Go.
But anyway, yeah, that was our Mania trip, guys. There's probably stuff that we missed. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it up, but like we had to get out here. I mean, we basically 2 hours here just talking about WrestleMania, and it wasn't breakdown by breakdown of all the matches and whatnot, but that's not what this is for. This is for us to just tell you guys who have been fans of us and have been riding with us through this journey, how we enjoyed WrestleMania and what our experience was like, because we had our own. There's definitely people there that had a different experience, and I think I wouldn't trade mine for anything in the world. From Wale Mania on Thursday to getting stranded at the Wells Fargo after the Hall of Fame induction, which we didn't mention on the show, but almost had to sleep in the car that was driving us home at the Wells Fargo, and then trying to get a friggin' Uber because the entire sports complex there was basically shut down to get cars out. So I mean, there's so much stuff that we're always going to be bringing up throughout the show and whatnot that we may have not touched on or whatnot. But, this was just such an amazing experience. And when we were there, it motivated me to do more stuff and, just appreciate what we're doing here because this is probably one of my favorite things.
We can go over this really quickly.
Quickly.
Footage. AEW was dumb. Tony Khan deciding to do that was dumb. Them trying to flip it into being a relevant storyline to their current talent is dumb. No one believes you. They are giving more validity to what Punk said, first of all, by even addressing it, because they did with Edge coming out and saying whatever, which is like, okay, no one's listening to you, Adam.
You are Edge, and shut him up.
And Punk didn't even really say anything that bad. First of all, the people were like, he dragged AEW. No, he didn't. Everything that he has been said. And even Brandy Rhodes basically inadvertently kind of confirmed about their reason for why they left AEW, which was exactly the same reason why Punk said he left, which is they were sold something different than what was coming about, so he wanted to get out. If anything, in my opinion, the footage just proves that Punk told the truth and that they look like a bunch of clowns. So you're talking about people who are no longer in the company. You're showing footage of it. You're thinking that you're doing something. You're not. You're catering to the internet wrestling fan, exactly what Punk said, and you just look like a bunch of idiots. That's basically my opinion.
This is my one statement on it, because as we know, I like to be down the middle, but this actually did irk me a little bit, because the footage was not terrible. I mean, I've seen worse bar fights. I have seen worse shit at not the job I have now, but jobs that I've had in the past working in restaurants. I mean, for God's sakes, I had a guy make a voodoo doll of another cook. So, this was tame. Like it was. He choked him out. Not one punch was thrown. He grabbed him by the head, and then they both got cut off. And maybe he was screaming, and that's when Tony freaked out. Was like, my life is in danger. And it's like, no, this dude is just like venting because you have shit, little shits that you're catering to, whatnot. And Punk's actually trying to help the longevity of things. And you don't need that gut reaction like you did years ago. There's safer ways to do things. And it's just fucking insane. And the fact that they did try to connect it to Ed, this is where I literally LOL'd, like actually LOL'd, was when they were like, and their friends are friends with him, and you think we had to go out there? Like, I was like, the tops and turns that you had to go to connect that is absolutely
the Young Bucks,
insane.
They're making themselves look bad too.
I've read reports that they did not want to do it.
I read a report that they didn't care about doing it, that they were fine with doing it. So it really depends on what you want to believe. But
they weren't a fan of it, but they didn't mind it. Like,
no, but what I'm saying is the fact that they even agreed to do anything, like the fact that you're like, okay, whatever, like that you didn't put up more of a fight. You're an EVP, dude. You can't say that you don't have pull. You didn't have to do that. Tony is not the end all be all.
He's not.
Stop. Secondly, you didn't even have to say, okay, you could have shown the footage and had other people deal with it. They didn't. They're just looking dumb. So basically, it was stupid, and actually had WWE trending, and like Tony Khan, CON, was trending. Like it's a joke. It completely backfired. It was dumb.
The voodoo doll did not work, by the way. It was a little doll of Santa. All right, like it wasn't a real one, but he tried to make it. It was, God, I worked some crazy places. It was just terrible, and it's just to have that, and then Ospreay come out and talk about the grind and come at Triple H. Like it's the epitome
of listening to the IWC, because Ospreay, he wasn't talking about you. Like he wasn't talking about him. It's like
blanket statement. Like
it was like, and the thing is are you saying that you're early in your career, Ospreay? Are you like a young little guy in wrestling? Is that what you're saying? So you're confirming that? Like, if it doesn't apply to you, then why are you offended? If it doesn't apply to you, then why are you responding?
I did hear that Tony Khan pushed him to say that, and he was not against it. But
that's Tony fine. Khan then you're an idiot for listening to Tony Khan. It's because Ospreay hasn't figured it out yet. He hasn't seen it yet. He's gonna regret his decision, but that's okay.
He did. There's a quote that said, like, I chose AEW because of the money and scheduling, essentially. Like, I read the quote today.
We all knew that, though. That's what we said immediately. I said that, too. I said that he was offered more money and he liked the lax schedule. He didn't have to move to America. That was what I was saying.
Travel. Yeah, he can travel.
That's what I said. So it's like, even if what Triple H said was about him, where is he lying, bro? Like, you've confirmed that too. So that's the thing, is like, you're getting offended over the truth. You just don't like hearing it. Like,
Oh my
come
God.
on,
It's
dude.
and the fact that CM Punk was getting chants during the Young Bucks segment was just
And I'm sorry.
icing on the fucking cake.
Meanwhile, Raw in the first hour got 3 million views. It peaked at 3 million during the Rock and Cody segment, and they did that for 819,000 views. Like, come on, bro. Come
It was
on.
I was sitting watching, just mesmerized and really focusing, trying to find any sort of positive
No.
spin on this. And I fucking can't. I
It's like
fucking can't.
you're
I'm
trying to
sorry.
you're trying to make Punk out to be the villain. You confirmed he was the superhero. Like, it backfired. You guys look like the jackasses. Like, this is why it's like, just stop. Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah, and FTR coming out. The look that Tony Schiavone gave when they panned back to the announcer's table, it was the same exact pose he did at Bash of the Beach 2000. That is when you know he was not looking at the camera.
No, I know. I was looking at you to see if you could see me.
Oh, yeah, it was exactly. Yes, exactly what you did. Like, just
well, that's the thing, is like, okay, we need to go. But like, no, it really is like AEW is on a path where they could potentially become the next WCW, except they'll never have the 83 weeks on top. So
they might not with Triple H in charge. Not with the way this
they would
going.
never. No, they won't. But I'm just saying, like, they're gonna suffer the same fate if they keep doing this shit. But more power to you, bro.
Denise Eldado put up the pay-per-view schedule and asked if anyone's going, and then said that she was not going to like 3 out of the 4 or something like that. So like,
what's the point of spending the money?
Exactly. And this is not, I know this is coming off like, coming at Denise, not at all. She's great. Sara World and Gate said hi. But when you have someone that influential in the wrestling industry and that is such a positive face and light, and they're like, it's not worth it, and these are not like, Wrestle Dreams in Seattle or Tacoma, so that maybe like I get you wouldn't go to that one, but like there's some that are pretty
Tacoma's
decent
trash.
places. Yeah. Oh yeah, Washington. You like
my first WWE show was in Tacoma.
Jesus.
That's where Lesnar and Big Show tag teamed against Eddie and Cena.
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Like that's what I mean, is that if you can't get someone like that and your pay-per-views aren't as hyped up, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I got. All right, we go. It's 2 hours here, and we thank everyone who's tuned in. I mean, goddamn, some faces who are still commenting, like that we see. There's so many of you, and I really appreciate all of you.
Yes.
This is awesome. And we really thank you for just being there. I do not have much else to say because it's been a long episode, a long day, but we'll be back for the Smackdown breakdown. Facts.
That's my argument. I think it's a downfall since Cody left. But anyway, go ahead. Okay, we gotta go.
We'll be back on this weekend. Sunday, confirmed. Sweet. Celebrating love. We'll be back on Sunday for the Smackdown breakdown because the champ has to celebrate some love. And I can't wait to see you all there. And in the meantime, hit that subscribe button, please. Tell a friend to hit the subscribe button. God, it just helps. All right. And it just helps. Okay. So go hit that subscribe button and then follow all the social media links down below so you know all of what we're doing, because we don't just talk wrestling. We talk pads. I do nonsense on Twitch. It's a lot of fun. So you got to follow our socials to see what we're doing outside of wrestling and to keep up with us, because we're cool people. Sarah, you're a cool person.
Thanks.
All right? I'm cool. Take that back. I'm weird. But you guys are really cool people, and I really appreciate every single one of you who have stayed with us this entire 2 hours. I'm rambling now, and I got to pee. So thank you all for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. Yes, it's the right way. Yes. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Sunday. Yes.